Not streaming. Here we go.
Now you're being, now it's being streamed.
Yes.
And Joe, I said I had a copy. But I got the, got that one,
You can get the minutes.
so. Yeah,
That's the agenda in minutes.
I got printed off, it's still on.
Right. That was the best of it.
Nice to know somebody else does that.
Yeah.
All right, I believe we are live streamed, so I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting to order of our Waynesboro Advocacy Committee, as well as our foundation. Are we with the foundation group as well?
Foundation and, well, the advisory board, right?
Yeah.
And, well, but also the local Waynesboro subcommittee.
Yes.
That's right.
So
Should have, right?
I'll reach out.
I welcome everybody. I think we all know each other, so we're good on that. And we haven't met for a couple of months, but we do have our minutes from August. So are there any corrections to those minutes? Okay. Hearing none, we'll say that the minutes are approved. We don't need to do anything other than that. So I think our next, or most important agenda item, let's say, is the detailed design and where we stand. And I guess I'll turn to Joe for that, or
Yes,
somebody else is online.
So it's gonna be just me and Jennifer. Jonathan's actually on holiday, and Ryan is working with the team on a project at the Taubman Museum today.
Okay.
So it'll just be me. So as far as detailed design goes, everything's in order. We did everything we could with Scott Walker, our construction manager at JMU. So basically, everything's in the hands of DEP. We had also gotten permission from the secretary to submit for permission to move to the capital construction pool. So all that's been taken care of. The other bit that you see here on the agenda is the value engineering process and outcomes. So that was, as you might remember, we talking about sort of a peer review process where another firm is hired to do the study, and yet another firm is hired to do the cost estimate. And the good thing is that we did actually accept a few of the recommendations for value engineering and rejected a number as well, all with Scott's guidance. And the price of both studies came in under 10% variation, which is the threshold. So what does that mean? It means everything's fine. Everything's gonna be smooth as far as that.
Pretty much validated.
Yeah. So everything's fine. All we're doing now, even though technically we're not done until we get the signature from DEV on it, we were given permission to go ahead and move forward because that should be done here in upcoming weeks. So we got everything in well ahead of schedule. So
So just a question about the Secretary of Education. So she's given us permission. Is she actually recommending it to the governor's office, or is it just that she's allowing us to recommend it?
what?
How does that work? I'm not.
Okay, so what we do at given times in the fiscal year is we are asked to put together certain packages, and some might be for staff pay raises or some new program your agency wants to run. Then there's another one specific to capital.
Yeah.
But for each of those with this administration only, it's never been this way before. We used to just go to a portal, upload our stuff, goes into the black box, and we get it or don't get it.
Yeah.
In this particular administration, each year we've had to sit down with the deputy secretaries and we talk through all of this. We of course got in front of the secretary about PMH Waynesboro specifically. And so at that point, once we receive permission, we submit that note with our package to the Department of Engineering and Budget,
Okay.
and it gets fanned out to whoever gets it next.
So there is some note that the Secretary of Education or her deputy has.
It's already been vetted by the office,
Yes.
so they're not just letting junk pass through.
Right. Okay.
Or things that are untenable or outside of the governor's
Yeah.
interest. So whether it's an interest of the governor now or an interest of the secretary, or it's just the influence of all the folks who wrote letters, which every elected official and the secretary's office made mention about the sheer volume, right? Whether or it was some combination of all.
Mhm.
I'll never know.
Right.
So.
I only ask for clarity so that when I write my letter to the governor's office, if I say with permission of the Secretary of Education or under the recommendation, I'm just looking for language.
I think permission is the most accurate.
Okay,
Yeah, I think recommendation might be,
overstating it.
there's an assumption made, there's something implied,
Okay.
right? Also, since Lisa and Melanie had specific conversation with from our board of trustees, had specific conversation with the secretary about FEMA Waynesboro, they did not, I mean, the secretary was supportive. There was no, what am I trying to say?
Enthusiastic.
Well, there was no message of not being enthusiastic about, trying to hold back or anything like that. So, as far as I can tell, everything's good.
Unlike previous years.
Yeah, there's a lot of hesitation. Now, the other big hesitation is, I don't mean to go far afield outside my job description, but what we're seeing is a lot of drop off or predicted drop off in the tax revenues generated from Northern Virginia for various reasons. So, to follow that, what does that mean and what the timeline is in terms of reduced revenue generation for the state? I don't know.
Are you aware of this controversy regarding the actual tax receipts versus what was reported? Are you guys familiar with it? You probably heard about it, right? Greg, you heard about it? It was in the news, Virginia. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
So apparently, the way the state tracks receipts, so the governor and the administration's been consistently saying, we're saving the state a ton of money. We're way below our budget, and it's X billions of dollars. But an outside organization, I'm not really sure who does this, analyzes actual receipts versus expenditures, and apparently we've been spending more than what we've been receiving. Even though they're coming under budget, but the receipts have been lower than what the expenses were. By not a huge amount of money, it was a couple percentage points or whatnot, but apparently they've been actually funding the shortfall out of the reserve. Now the administration's kind of debating that, saying, the controversies about the timing of when they look at it. The state, apparently the government or the administration looks at the fiscal year, and I don't know what the other term is, what the other time frame is, but I don't know if they're using calendar year or something else. But I think at the end of the day, if your receipts are lower than what you're spending more than you got, essentially. So regardless of what your budget is, honestly.
Needless to say, it's a complex environment, and predictions are going to be hard to justify at this point.
Right.
So has the submission been made to the governor's office to be included in the budget? It has been formally done?
Well, now, again, there's a black box there. I don't know. So the governor should be starting this month putting the budget together. So assuming this is how it works, that all projects that you have all your base budgets, but then you have your special projects, if you want to call them that, then you have things like capital projects and so forth, and then the governor starts to pick and choose. Right. So as far as I know, it's all queued up, waiting for his budgetary folks to determine what their priorities are.
Which gets us to the advocacy part, right? So if this is the time, if we're going to continue to advocate for it, to write a letter to the governor's office.
Yes, and I can resend the address and verbiage that we had been using. This is also a time, and I don't know what more we can do, but my understanding is this is where the career folks are also making recommendations. This project has been sitting in its queue for this amount of time. It's escalating at this rate. We've invested this amount of money into it already. Mm-hmm. So I think we've done all we can there. We've basically jumped through all the hoops for that. So I do think the elected officials are best for that.
Do you have any feel on how we stack up vis-a-vis other projects like that from the staff's perspective? Staff in Richmond?
Well, the staff there they're very supportive. They love it, right? They actually say it's been a fun project. They keep looking at classroom buildings and other things. Parking garages and whatnot. So, I will say, I don't know the ins and outs, but oh, come on. There's another state agency that's going to build an archaeological lab and some other structure associated. It's one of the historic properties. It'll come. Gunston Hall, yes. And their director got fed up and left.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, Scott, where'd you go? And yeah, I knew where he went.
Yeah.
He was like, no, I just, just wasn't going
The
anything.
key to success is you have to outlive everything.
Yeah, yeah.
Basically.
I guess.
That's it,
Well,
persistence.
he's executive director elsewhere now. So he actually moved to nonprofits because I think he had enough.
He's in for a real ride then.
Well, yeah, it is a Shenandoah Discovery Museum, so at least it has a long,
Oh,
stable history and so forth, which is good. Anyway, yeah, so I think we're in good shape as far as doing everything we're supposed to do.
Great. Any further questions about the detailed design or steps? Hearing none, I guess we'll go ahead and move to the trailer maintenance update. I know
Okay.
it's gone now.
Yeah.
It's on.
All right. So there is fortunately more to the story, I guess. So we did have a firm. It took us forever because we could not get any firm in the Commonwealth to take it. So we had to get special permission to go outside the state, which we did. It was hauled away, and so we should receive the official scope of work to bring it back to pristine condition within the next week or so. However, we did have a phone call with the team there, and they basically just said, it's not worth fixing. It's better to buy a new one. Right?
Seriously.
Yeah. So the big thing for them, and let me go through this. The big thing for them is the underside. It's rusted out. They said if they fix everything up so it's looking nice and new axles and hydraulics and everything else, you're pulling it down the road within a matter of a couple of 3 years, it's going to rattle itself apart. The floor is going to fall out, right? So there are parts of it that are actually really good shape. They actually said the hydraulics are not bad and the HVAC's good, and we can hook it up to a pole. They're going to make sure it's set. I'll work with Dwayne that when we bring it back, we can hook it up to a pole. Now they said you can use it as a fixed asset, right? So what they'll do is they'll haul it down here. They will fix it up good enough so aesthetically it looks good. They'll add new lighting. They'll make sure the HVAC is maintained. Then it'll be set up on the asphalt over here as opposed to the wetland swale. And then they'll put braces under it so it doesn't go anywhere. And then whenever it comes time to get rid of it or we want to do something else with it, they can then be rehired to come back. They'll hook it up and they'll use a forklift to close it all up. That's what they're doing now. They can't, the slide sort is actually, once they put it all together, the repairs are worth a lot more than buying a brand new unit.
So it'll never be a traveling exhibit.
Not
It'll
that
always be a fixed.
It's
Right.
permanent.
Now, it doesn't mean if we find another space in the county or another city, or somebody wants to host it, we can pay them to come and move it. It would just be a mechanical operation as opposed to a hydraulic operation.
Right, for our next satellite facility.
Yeah, start picking your next city.
Yeah.
We'll just take all the plans that Waynesboro paid for. Yeah. So that's where it goes. So we will forward an update once we receive the official document from the firm.
Did they give you any idea how long it would take?
Yeah.
They would not commit to that. It will be in the scope of work, especially after we pick what we want and don't want. So I don't get the impression it's going to take that long. So I was talking with Megan earlier. We of course have Riverfest in April, and then May is the museum or trailer. Pardon me?
Virginia Museum of Art.
The Art Festival. Yes. So she wanted to go. Right. So anyway, that's April, May. I don't see any problem.
Post winter is what you're thinking.
Yeah, they're going to work on it over winter time and then deliver it back to us. They'll put a new wrap on it for us and everything. So yeah. So
Will the wrap design change or is it going to be the same one? Just
I don't know how crazy I was about the last wrap.
it was dark. And the only thing I would say about it is that
Yeah.
the opportunity to lighten it or create
Yeah.
some more interesting
Could you use the design?
visual colors.
We're hiring a new person. Bethany took off and greener pastures, so this will be kind of an early project for this person to kind of cut their teeth on. So yeah, certainly.
Yeah, something like that. Because it's gonna be sitting here for a while, apparently.
Well, it's gonna be probably sitting for a bit, but the other thing too is at the time we were talking about moving it, so
Yeah,
to have some, so that's why we just picked the fish theme. Came out however it came out. So, yeah. So we'll have our billboard back. Yeah.
Any other questions about the trailer? Community Connections lecture series. I know we had one already.
Yeah, it's pretty well
Marshall
attended.
Came up and gave a talk.
Very well attended.
Yes.
Of course,
A lot more online than in
Yeah.
person.
Mhm. Well, he's got a little following back and forth, so I wouldn't be surprised if they were tuning in.
Yeah, I saw 600 something views on one.
Yes.
That's good.
Yeah.
How many were in person? You-
30. I thought it was a little lower than what we've seen, but maybe it's because the first one of the year.
It might have been it, and wasn't it raining or something?
Yes, I think it was.
You might be right.
That was Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was raining all day.
And our next one, some guy named Kuiper is coming to talk. I think.
Yeah, I'll be back in a couple of weeks.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm gonna be
So
kind
we
of.
go with binoculars.
Just keep your shades dropped.
Yeah.
So, I'm actually gonna be connecting.
Live stream.
I'm going to be connecting some of the past talks we've had on bird behavior and whatnot, and biodiversity, connecting it back to our collections, because we have those antique collections go back to the 1800s and early 1900s. People back in the day, where it was fashionable to collect bird nest and eggs, that sort of thing, but now it was not a good resource. So we'll be doing that. So, yeah.
And then we have an open date.
Yes.
November 11th is still an open date. But we're looking, because it's Veterans Day, we thought maybe there's some way to connect.
Well, John, that was, well, I saw Jenna's email, and
Yeah.
John Ross would love to give a talk on this.
I saw his response too. He said he'd be willing to
Oh, I
do
didn't
it.
see his
Yeah, he
response.
did respond and say
Oh,
he'd be willing to do
I
it.
think he'd be great.
All right, I didn't see the response. I must have just missed it, but I did ask Jenna, but she said something. Let's hold on.
Until Brendan Deal gets back to us with the Fishburne.
Okay, all right.
He had some ideas too, and that would be a nice connection, because they've been a great participant as
Yeah.
an audience.
Yeah.
He's been very promoting the series, so if it's him or somebody over there, that also would be.
Yeah.
Good Veterans Day. Then we take December off, and then we come back in January.
That's right.
Currently, we're holding that place for a premiere of a video that the South River Watershed Coalition is putting together. We call it the Ducky video, but it's about a rubber duck's adventure as it floats from the very headwaters of South River all the way to the Chesapeake Bay, and what it encounters along the way. But we'll have the videographer there to talk about how he produced it. I'll also talk a little bit about how it was inspired, because there's a 1950s video called Paddle to the Sea, which inspired me to think about it, and a conversation with teachers at Riverfest who brought their kids up from Hampton Roads and had no idea that the water that flowed by Hampton Roads had come from here. So they had to include that in their
That's
curriculum
neat.
this year, and we thought we'd help.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's January. And I think we already have a couple of other speakers lined up in the spring, but I can't remember which yet.
But so far, so good.
Yeah. Anything else about the lecture series? Fall foliage, that's coming up, right?
Yes, I
It's
understand that.
Sunday.
We have a team coming up. So we have 3 or 4 staffers here. I think we paid for a little extra spaces here. Is that true, or is that something we were just talking about? I can't remember. But yeah,
You
anyway,
know where where the space is gonna be, which space you got?
I've let them handle it all. They're eager to come up and get a change of pace from Martinsville.
It would normally be on Wayne Avenue, where they normally have
They've not
no
processed.
Joe, production of additional interpretive signage. So I know that some signage was already placed in preserve.
Yeah, so
By the way, I've been taking people down there. People hadn't seen it yet. And
Uh-huh.
It's really cool. You're right about that. That spring coming out of the spring. That's really neat.
It's a very
It's
cool.
fascinating, actually. I love standing there and watching.
Yeah. I actually saw brook trout in the pool there.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Didn't take long.
Nope, didn't.
That's so cool.
And we had stockfish that we put in. I'm saying we because it was trout limited, but rainbows and browns, but no brook trout. And I was looking
Yeah, I
at
was
the
gonna
pool
say
goes,
Uh-huh.
that's brook trout because I can see the white marks on the fins. So.
Which pool was it? Right by the bridge? Or by
Yeah,
the-
just upstream of the bridge where you walk across.
Yeah, that's
Right in the-
really,
right in the
that's
tail.
amazing.
They know how to find their way to the right
Yeah.
place.
Wow, that's really neat. Well, you get holdover brook trout in there, that's gonna be something.
Yeah.
I mean, that was the ultimate goal, right?
Well, we've always had some native brook trout in here. They come in from the headwaters for whatever reason and find their way to the springs, but it's pretty cool to see them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And that's gonna help. That daylighting, that new channel is gonna help.
Wow.
So speaking of which, we have some money left over from the Dominion grant, and we thought to kind of continue the theme of signs closer towards Main Street. So we're still poking around with that. We have about 6 or 8 themes to pick from. So we'll be developing that. And again, this is going to be something our new person will dive into when they arrive. But in addition, Tom had the idea, which we think is pretty cool, and Parks and Rec was all over it. The idea of creating silhouette signs that show the different mountain peaks in the distance while you're up at Sunset Park.
Yeah.
And so I think this would be an easy one. We bring the new person up and kind of let them get the lay of the land and so forth. And the stuff that Tom gave me, apparently there's, let me see, 500,
Couple of
600.
ideas.
Yeah, there's about 8,000 different peaks. So I don't know, we'll do all of them, right? But we'll pick some of the major ones.
And there's some that have significance,
Right.
like local significance, like Betsy Valley, you can
Right.
see in Stanton, Elliott Knob, which is one of the highest ones, you can actually see that on a clear day, Sunset Park.
Well, we'll
Of course,
get you,
Afton Mountain,
yeah.
stuff like that.
no, we'll get you involved in it
Yeah.
and make sure that, we pick the things that are appropriate as opposed to every last little high point on the horizon. But it should be a fairly straightforward project, and I think be a nice addition. And again, Stephanie was at Parks and Rec was very enthusiastic about the idea because they have that observation area. It's like a half
Yeah,
moon shape.
the wall there.
Yeah. So
I think there's a compass on it too.
Could be on the ground. I don't know. That would be a nice thing if they did have it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're basically looking at the South River watershed there, so. And in the distance, obviously, we have Appalachians.
Yeah.
So, and I used a Peak Finder app, which if you're not familiar with, it's really cool. Yeah, and you just point it and it tells you what the peaks are and how tall they are. And I just took a bunch of snapshots and sent them.
Yeah.
It's kind of like
We
It
will
wasn't
check
hard.
these out. These
like the star mapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
cool. Yeah, those are cool too.
Yeah. So I just went click, click, click. 4 shots. But I was thinking of the 3D features that you put on the signs there, like the bark. I think there was footprints on one of the signs.
footprints and bird beaks.
And bird beaks and the watershed, yeah. So you could do something similar with that silhouette. You could do like a 3D.
Yeah, I'll have to take a picture and show Duncan Monroe as our partner in that because he had one of the things that he does with his 3D print company is to print landscapes for trophies for what do you call it, like Ironman or triathlon
Yeah,
type things. So
triathlons.
they actually will print the path of the trail up and down the mountains and gullies and streams and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I think you could do something like that.
That might
So-
be more expensive than what we have funds for. Maybe just, even if it's just a 2D representation like that. it might be fine.
Yeah.
We
Well,
go with 3D
We'll get
something.
the new person up and, we'll start to knock out some ideas, get you involved, and figure out what the scope of that work would be, but I think that'd be a pretty easy win for us. All right.
Temporary exhibit, I guess there's.
Yeah, so, I may have jumped the gun, well, I did jump
Is
the
that
gun.
your email?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that says email and text.
Yeah, so in the end, we were talking about Anne's gift and bringing in the dinosaur maze. when we finally went and took a look at it after having rented it out a number of times, it's in pretty rough shape. So we're not comfortable.
Take it off the website.
Huh?
It's on the website.
Is it? Okay. All
Yeah,
right,
that's
well,
where she saw it, so you can take it down.
okay. All right. Well, needless to say, it's not going to travel. So, and again, not having an exhibits manager, we won't have one for until sometime in November or December. This just isn't going to fly, but I had an idea, and that's what I put in this proposal here. And this was not just my idea, but the staff sat around and came up with this. So to tell the full story, at Natural History in Martinsville, we are just now embarking on improving a space that's going to be specific for our pre-K through third grade guests, so our youngest students. And so we hope to have that facility open somewhere around January 2027. Right, so that's our plan there. Of course, at VMH Waynesboro, we have the Early Childhood Learning Center, which is going to be a rather substantive gallery. So there's going to be a very parallel mission with the same kind of age group. And so we kind of put together a menu of options here, and I'll just circulate some of these. You can share them or whatever. Actually, I have more than enough.
I do have that.
Okay. Yeah. So, thank you. So what we're proposing is that since we already have a pretty strong presence right now, it's for 2026, it's going to be 3 specific festivals, right? We're going to have the MFA and Mobile Museum Festival. We have Riverfest. We have Fall Foliage Fest. So what we're proposing to see if anyone would be interested in is actually taking out a larger bit of real estate, so that moves us up in the sponsorship levels, and then setting up areas specific for the youngest children. So the 2 things that kind of came to mind, and we haven't committed to these, is to have these large, quote unquote, life size, not really, but these larger models of, dinosaur bones, the puzzles, 3D puzzles that kids can put together and so forth. And then the second one, which is very, very popular among science centers, is these kits called Big Blue Blocks. So oftentimes what a science center will do, you set aside an area, and these blocks come in different shapes, and the kids are exposed to engineering principles and so forth and build their own environments. And again, something that's very heavily engaged. The benefit here is not just to give something back to the community, and particularly the youngest students, but we could set it up so we're doing evaluations of these kits. How are the students engaging with them? Is it enough just to put them out? Are there other things we need to be doing with them? Is there interpretive opportunities that we're not really going to recognize until we're actually operating them and stuff? So we can do a whole evaluative project with this. So serve the children, do the evaluative project, and then recycle that back into both VMH Waynesboro and VMH Martinsville, right, as far as our upcoming galleries go. So I would put that proposal out there, and Tom, I don't know where we want this conversation to go here, since we're talking about an individual donor and so forth, but just want to put that out.
She wants to remain anonymous too, by the way. And I've got a couple thoughts. I think Riverfest, yes.
Okay.
Fall Foliage,
Okay.
I don't think Fall Foliage is the venue, unless you want to have a babysitting service.
Right.
You can do that. But it's a different clientele.
I get that.
Yeah, the age group audience. Plus, Fall Foliage gets a little persnickety about glamming in on their action. I know that from experience. I think Riverfest would be great. What if you did something? I know what she's really envisioned, what turned her on about the maze was the fact that it keeps the museum project front and center and gives the community an opportunity to experience the experience and, to get their excitement and get them built up, excited about the whole project. What if you did something that kind of led you to the other 2 events, which is Riverfest and the Museum Rodeo, that incorporated the downtown businesses? So kind of create a, maybe it's a junior curator trail where the businesses can have different exhibits, or maybe they have different pieces of the bones or something like that. I understand there's a staffing issue and there's, all that kind of stuff. But I think she was thinking more in line of this constant opportunity to keep the thing out there in front of people.
I would love to have it out there in front of people. I mean, if we invest, we want to stay with the community
Yeah.
and so forth. So yeah, we're open to ideas in terms of what we can leave where under supervision. It could even be that one of the things kind of came up in side conversation was, can we have our own occasional special event where the trailer's open, but then we utilize the pavilion and put these
Yeah,
bits out, you know, and so there's kind of that periodic thing.
yeah.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk with Megan about getting.
Yeah, I think if you ask her how to integrate that, get the businesses engaged, because then the other part of that is linking the two, the museum and the downtown businesses, getting them invested in it and making that connection. And you can even have maybe individual little setups in the business if they're willing to do it.
Right.
To get them to travel around to these different things, including the library.
All right, well, let's continue then to kind of massage this idea. I can set up a conference call with Megan.
Keep in mind, she's a retired teacher.
Yep.
So that's her big thing,
Right.
is education.
They're gonna have the Kiwanis playground. with the-
Well, I was thinking about that too. And that's a great connection. I mean, I think we could set up, like a little trail kind of thing and bring them through the Greenway or the South River Preserve. And maybe have, kind of like a geocaching kind of approach where
Right.
maybe you got 3D printed little dinosaurs that if they find it, whatever. I mean,
Like a scavenger.
a scavenger hunt kind
That's what I wrote
of.
down when you said that.
Yeah.
So you have a bone,
Yeah,
a different bone at each store and
yeah.
collect the
Yeah.
bones, collect a stamp on a card or whatever.
Well, if you did the geocache kind of thing and print out these little, you could have a 3D printed version of that bigger bone. And when they find it, they can collect it. And then if they collect them all, they can actually put together. It's like that kind of stuff. We had, yeah, I forget his name. We worked with this guy at Genicon years ago. And he showed up one day at the trailer with 2 big green bags of sea-oriented stuffed animals. He said he'd been buying these for his wife for 40 or 50 years. She collected them, and they finally wanted to clean them out, right? So they're all great, they're all nice and clean and everything. So he says, hey, what do you think about this? So he just dropped them off, and Mary's like, what am I going to do with this? I said, well, let's just get the kids. You can ask them a question, and everybody wins, and they can walk out. And within about, last summer and then early part of this summer, those kids walked out with these things, and they loved it. They loved it. Everybody got a great answer. But they charged hard at it too. I mean, it was fun to engage in that. So that I think would turn her on. That would get her.
All right, well, we clearly have the foundation for an idea. Let's kind of massage it. We'll count on the Museum Rodeo and Riverfest. That would be no problem. Let's see if we can get it.
So you can
connected
tie
to
the two events together. And that kind of brings them into that museum trailer. Maybe that's at the rodeo. That's you have a big unveiling of whatever, a little prize kind of thing or whatever. Do that.
All right.
Yeah,
So
but
the
it's-
Children's Museum is getting closer and closer to being real.
Okay.
Actually open.
So did they have a physical presence, right?
Yeah, they have-
Yes.
yeah.
So they're busy fixing it up?
Yep, actually, we're helping them for the outside of it right now, so.
Didn't they announce an opening day?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought they did. Yeah. A ribbon cutting.
Nice. Okay, well, I'm
And
gonna
then
be-
Stone Soup is moving downtown. I mean, I know Mary Catherine, but she's open. She's already open. Yeah, she would love to engage in something like this.
well, I'll count on all of you to keep us up to speed, make sure anything we're doing is not interfering with some other initiative. I'm happy to compliment, but
Yeah.
recognize there are multiple things going on. So, but let's continue to mold this and figure out what 2026 looks like.
I have to put in my plug when you mentioned the Kiwanis playground. Let's not forget that the Rotary has that track.
Close by.
Garden. Yes, very close by.
Yeah, yeah,
So there's a huge opportunity
Yeah.
for movement
yeah, definitely.
and with the museum, which I had forgotten about, and Stone Soup, it's like, wow. Parents would buy into that because it's close and it would exhaust their kids.
And I'm sorry, what did you call the Rotary Project?
The Rotary Traffic Garden.
Traffic. Oh, that's
It's in the
that,
preserve.
it's that
Right next to the parking
maze.
lot.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
If we're talking about visions, and I'm looking at Sunset Park up there, and I'm remembering when I'm like 7, 8 years old, going to Rapid City, South Dakota, and seeing these huge concrete dinosaur replicas
Mhm.
up in this one park. And I'm just sitting here, and I could see, all of these huge dinosaurs up there.
Uh-huh.
Well, whatever, too bad Mark Klein's, is he dead? Or,
Foam hinge, the foam hinge.
well, the phone
Yeah,
hinge
no,
guy,
he's-
but remember when he had Hannibal coming over the,
Yeah.
Yes.
that was awesome. I thought that was great. It was up there for what, 6 months or
Yeah, it was for a while.
We're working on this street art project, so.
he is?
We are,
He was.
similar but different, but yes.
I love the idea, I'd love to have dinosaurs up there. So we've actually been looking at various products. These are mainly nowadays fiberglass, right? Fiberglass sculptures. and
That's
so
what he
forth.
did.
Yeah.
He did all the stuff about
Before we leave this topic, I wish I could remember where I was and what animal they used, and I can't remember either one. But the whole community was engaged in this. I mean, the entire community. And you'd be on that side of town and in front of a store, let's just pick something.
I mean, the Hokey Bird down in
No,
Blacksburg.
no, this is not the Hokey Bird. This was something
I
else.
think you're thinking, like, Vancouver has, they use the polar bear motif.
Maybe it was Vancouver.
And
I
they
don't
put them
know.
all over the
Hendersonville,
place.
North Carolina had bears.
Maybe it was
There was a
Henderson.
bear outside of your
I've been to
store.
both of those places.
Newburgh
But I-
bears.
Yeah,
Baltimore's
bears.
crabs.
Could have been any of those.
Yeah.
That might be something we just want to tuck away,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
as things evolve, really think about the potential for that. I know in one of the places that I always had that, if you stopped at their tourist center, they gave you almost like a little bingo card. And if you spotted it, because they were different colors, like this one was one white, now it's pink, and now it's green, you could mark them off, and then you could turn it in and you get like pass the climbed ice cream or something
Yeah,
along
yeah,
those
yeah.
lines.
That's actually what we're working on, so we're
Oh, really? Okay.
street art, tie-in, well, they're very expensive, so we're not sure we can do what we want to do, but the idea would be take the Riverfest animal of the year, whatever you call it, make a statue on it and place it around town, so it becomes a place to go to get a picture or climb on it and do all that kind of stuff. But they're really expensive.
Good.
So we end up with 6 of the same thing or whatever, but that's how the idea started.
Well, I believe that the store sponsored the bear that was out in front of their place, and then they sponsored,
That's
whoever
what
the artist was that decorated it. And it included a fee that was associated with the store.
So we're still at the infancy stages, but that's how we're.
Okay.
Well, why don't we just have a whole menagerie using all of these things from the museum? And, I mean, it wouldn't exactly be a zoo as much as it would be artifacts.
It'd be an evolutionary thing. Start with the short-nosed bears, leading all the way to the black bear.
There you
Different versions.
Well, that ought to be good for 5 years, right?
Yeah.
Related to community connections is not one of the bullets, but as far as I know, everything's fine with the new Waynesboro educator. They're getting work, so I haven't talked to Christy lately about it.
I met with Rosemary this morning.
Oh, did you really?
Mhm.
All right, good,
To talk about the South River Watershed Coalition and how we can work together.
super. All right, good. Otherwise, that's where I'm at, the community.
That's your story, and you're sticking to it.
Sticking to it. Yep.
All right, anything else for community connections that I will make us aware of? Are some of us gonna be at the Fall Foliage Festival this week?
Maybe.
I'm traveling this week.
Yeah.
I will think of all of you.
I will plan to stop by at least one of the days.
You'll recognize it.
What are you gonna have? What are they bringing, you know?
What are they bringing? They told me, and I'm not gonna remember. I just said, that sounds great.
Great idea.
Whatever
This is like delegation 101, full action. Out of,
That's the sound of a good delegate. When
absolutely.
you hand it off and you know it's taken
It's
care of.
great.
Oh, yeah, no, it's gonna be,
Total confidence in the team.
Bobby and Zach are gonna be here, and Lucy's gonna be here. So I know they have, like, when Lucy gets involved, there's all kinds of details, so I think there's probably gonna be something that we haven't seen yet.
I might have to stop.
Anything for open discussion?
Oh, just so you know, Faye was online as well.
Oh, Faye is here too. Welcome,
The
Faye.
bar,
I'm
That
sorry.
bar
we
is blocking her.
Yeah,
recognize you.
there she is.
Hello, hello.
You're muted. There she is.
It's hard to hear you all today. I don't know if there's some background noise.
There's a few folks talking in the background, yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I just haven't been able to tap in very well. So
Thank you for agreeing to doing all the stuff you agreed to do today. That's good.
just send me a list, Len. Just send me a list.
Joe's on his delegation mode. He's doing really
Oh
well.
boy. Oh boy. That sounds dangerous.
Yeah.
No, but Faye's been helping us identify some science talk speakers, so that's.
Yeah, and did I understand you still have one opening?
I believe we have at least one opening in the spring.
Okay.
And then
'Cause I was-
November 11th, we're working on, but I think we have a couple of ideas. One of them will pay.
You do. Well, if you need, I just had the one idea about Chris Bolgiano, about Forest,
Yes.
Eastern Forest. I don't know if you still wanted me to speak to her.
I am not as engaged in selecting the speakers anymore. I've kind of passed that on to the museum and to Jenna. But if you want to work through Joe or whoever Joe
Yeah.
says.
Yeah, let's touch base, Faye, because maybe we can find out her availability for spring, and we'll of course get you the exact date on the calendar.
Yeah, I'm not sure if she'll be up to traveling from Falks Run, which isn't that far, but you know, nighttime travel doesn't work well for her.
All right. Well, spring would be better too, because we'll have longer
That's
days.
true.
So
That's
hopefully
right.
We'll be able
That's
to
right.
work something out.
We're happy to put her up for a night.
Yep.
We have
Yeah, I was going to offer the same. So,
Yeah, we have a budget for that actually. So.
okay.
All right. Anything else? Open discussion. I'll only say that I really did enjoy going to the dinner at the museum, the Natural History of Chocolate. dinner.
Chocolate one?
Yeah, that was really, that was great. And I just thought, you know, thinking back on it, it'd be great to host something like that up here once we get active.
All right,
Natural history.
They were talking good.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
I did not actually have the lamb. I went with chicken like Joe too.
Oh, you went
Both
with
chicken.
Callie had the lamb and thoroughly enjoyed it.
I bet, man.
It was chocolate and coffee ground coated.
Espresso kind of.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. It had a real nice texture and everything. So
That
it
was
was good. Yeah, if you want to do something like that up here, I can help guide it. I don't know the personalities. Like we would need a chef. We would need volunteers to help. I mean, Jennifer and several of our staff volunteered their time that night to make it happen. So if we had a space and we had a chef, we could provide some organization.
I definitely got some chefs around. No question about that. Yeah.
And so one of the next ones at Natural History, should we do this again, this is all a pilot project, would be to do the natural history of wine. And so have dishes that are all influenced by various recipes that involve specialty applications of wine and so forth. But we could also, we could just bring chocolate.
Well, if
wines
you can
and
get
so
Gabriel
forth.
Roche to come talk, you know, he's kind of like the grandfather of Virginia wine. Well, Thomas Jefferson's grandfather of Virginia wines, but Gabriel Roche actually was the one that made the industry successful in Virginia. And he was the one that they hired at Barboursville plant over there. I've been to wine tastings with him. He's very interesting. You get the history behind it and what the varietals for Virginia that are, because of our soil and our climate and all that stuff. He gives you all that.
We have a Barboursville wine is one of the ones that they paired with one of the courses last
He's
night.
got his own vineyard now. He's not the winemaker at Barboursville anymore, but he planted he designed that whole vineyard. But he's got his own label now.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's local. He's in Charlottesville.
And when we did, so the Natural History of Chocolate, we had a chocolate tasting to start with. All of the dishes were influenced in some capacity with chocolate, but then every course was paired with a wine, and then we had an experienced person, maybe not experienced, this fellow that knew enough about what he was doing to describe why the different wines were paired with those dishes. Talk about terroir, temperatures,
Yeah.
harvest time, and everything influencing the flavors of these wines. So we drew a lot of science.
Yeah, I learned how chocolate is made.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know.
Yeah, it's a lot more primitive than you think.
Yeah. Anyway,
Well, congratulations on the big donation you guys got down there. That's significant.
No,
It's not significant so much for the money, which is significant, but the fact that you guys impacted this person's enough where that's where he thought to leave all his money.
no, we take that very seriously, and also underscores, we always talk about operations at every level. So let's think about it. This fellow that came in for the first time to the museum 10 years ago, we don't know what day he came in. So, but I guarantee you, one of the first people he talked to was either Kenneth, the fellow who works the weekdays at the box office, or Letitia, who works the Saturdays and Sundays. And so they have a reputation for doing really well with our folks, and I bet there is probably a connection, and that's what kind of led to the development of deepening the relationship. So it's a great example of that. 2025 was a really big year for the Natural History Museum, the least of which was getting all the formalities of detailed design done. So we are prepared to go to the next step. But we had the pavilion ribbon cutting. We also had the AM accreditation. And then we also had challenges with Mark Plus, his untimely death and everything. So it was such an odd year. It was nice to, as we kind of get closer to the General Assembly session, have something like Natural History of Chocolate. Be a little more lighthearted.
Add a little sweetness to it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, so some of those dark chocolates, they weren't sweet at all.
No,
and I have to say, I thought Melanie Clark did a nice job as the chair coming in after Mark and at the chocolate dinner too, just saying how the museum benefits from events like this and people participating in them.
But we were very, the only thing I told her was what I was going to say, and I welcomed her. And then she took it.
And she's an advocate for this project as well. So it's good choice. Our next meeting is scheduled for Monday, November 3rd, here at 1 again.
That's not a holiday, that's the day before election.
It's
Yeah.
the day before election day, yeah. But I think that works. So we'll leave it there. And if nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you. I'll be in touch with all the folks here. Our needs.
See you
Faith,
then.
thank you.
See you guys.
So I'll be in touch about speakers, so talk soon. Thanks, Jennifer. Thanks, Zach. Appreciate it.